Okay, thanks also for being more specific that you are interested in learning about yoga and Pilates for sciatica. Interestingly enough, I know at least 10 people right now dealing with a sciatic flare-up. I definitely know how they feel because I myself have suffered from sciatica from time to time. And really, it's based on the fact that I have several bulging discs in my spine. I'm currently pain-free, but every once in a while, I'll do something to really irritate it. So the biggest thing that I've learned over time is to figure out and decipher what am I doing that is flaring up my L5S1 disc bulge, pushing on the nerve root. That nerve root travels down into the glute max, the piriformis, the hamstring, and the calf, even all the way down to the heel and the base of the foot. That is the S1 nerve, which actually becomes the sciatic nerve once it passes through the sciatic notch and either pierces through or is under the piriformis. Sciatica is not typically caused by a tight piriformis. It's been kind of a myth that, oh, if you just stretch your glutes more, you're going to get rid of your sciatica. The root cause is typically because of that L5S1 nerve root compression. So if you're active and you're doing Pilates and yoga, you're running, you're cycling, you're teaching fitness classes, doing boot camp, whatever, there is a chance that you're compressing that L5S1 nerve root. So you've got to do provocation testing, tests that provoke the symptom. One provocation test would be that I teach in the clinic is the slump test. So basically, I'll have a patient sit in a chair and have them slump and then place their hands on top of the head and drop it down. And if they start to get that reproduction of symptom or that sciatica, then that means that flexion is irritating it. Something that can irritate it even more is when they slump and round and their leg is extending and flexed. If that sciatic nerve gets irritated even more, then that means that your spine in a rounded position or a flexed position is going to irritate it. So flexion is created with cat stretch, forward fold, double knees to chest, a bazillion exercises, even downward facing dog, when you're rounding your spine and you're not really getting that neutral position, that can aggravate L5S1, irritating the entire sciatic nerve distribution. So another provocation test would be extension. If the patient is having sciatica and flexion is like really comfortable, they feel good, but then I have them do a standing back bend, or I have them do a cow stretch, where they're on their hands and knees and they're extending, or they're just standing activities, doing a quad stretch, doing anything in extension. If that triggers sciatica, or if they're lying on their stomach, they're literally lying on their belly and they're doing a little mini cobra or maybe a full upward facing dog, they're doing swim prep, all those things can also compress L5S1 nerve root. That happens a lot with stenosis. Stenosis is actually when your disc has really compressed quite a bit, but there's not a whole lot of disc material there left anymore. And your bones, your vertebral bones, are closer together. So that's actually called stenosis. It's the narrowing of the hole where the nerve exits out. So if the patient has a positive provocation test in extension, then you're going to want to avoid all extension-based activities temporarily. And then those extension activities have to be modified. That's pretty much the cause of sciatica. And so I prescribe Pilates and yoga, lumbar stabilization exercises, specifically for the patient's bias. If I get symptoms with the slump test, with the rounded test, with the straight leg test, I'm lying on my back and my legs straight up in the air. If I can reproduce the symptoms of sciatica, I am going to completely omit anything that creates flexion because now my bias is extension. I'm going to focus on lying on my belly, standing, limiting sitting, limiting any flexion-based exercises for about a week or two, and really focusing on neutral spine. And then the opposite is if you have that flexion bias, if lying on your belly and you're doing all your classes and your exercise routines that involve lying on your stomach and standing and doing a little back bend motion, then for 1 to 2 weeks, I'm going to completely omit that. I'm only going to focus on flexion-based exercises and neutral spine. Doing cat stretch. You're going to do the Williams flexion series, if you guys have ever heard of that, where you lie on your back, you pull your knees into your chest, you do the Pilates preparation work, you do, it's like the Shirley Sarman core stabilization program. And then that can be elevated to level 2, where your knees are above your chest in a tabletop position. You can do the Pilates abdominal series, single leg stretch, double leg stretch, scissors, all those things that are going to still fire up your core, create core support, but you're going to be moving into your bias, which is flexion. I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, please post them below. Yeah, just let me know what your thoughts are.